Hello, and thank you for viewing this Capital Magnet Fund Performance Report completion training. This module will focus on homeownership activity reporting. We are now on the homepage of the Awards Management Information System, or AMIS. I am logged in as an end user, a recipient. So from the home page here, we will navigate to the CMF performance report. Given this is a test account, there are several performance reports here, so you may not see quite as many. If you are not seeing the applicable performance report show up in this section, go ahead and hit go, and that should pull up the applicable performance report. So once we are on the performance report detail page, our first step for homeownership, reporting a homeownership activity, is to create a housing program. So first you will either click this link or just hover over it and then click the new housing program button. These red bars indicate that the field is required, so you must enter first a name for your housing program. So we will name this Housing Program 1. And then new with the enhancements to AMIS that were released July 2020, on this housing program screen, you can now report a commitment and a commitment date and a commitment amount. And when you would do that is if you are taking advantage of the waiver guidance that was released and issued by the CDFI fund. So if you are pursuing a strategy in which you are funding a homeownership program, then it may be necessary for you to go ahead and report a commitment date and amount here at the housing program level rather than to specific projects. If you have more questions about that, please do reach out to the CDFI fund for additional guidance. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we will go ahead and report a commitment to a housing program in the amount of $500,000. Right, great. Now that we have created our housing program, we will return to the performance report. And from there, we are now ready to create a homeownership project. So from there, we will hover or click on the projects link and then hit the new project button. From the record type dropdown, we will select homeownership housing, continue. Once again, all the fields with the red bar are required, so we will proceed with entering in all the required information. So our project name will simply be House 1. Project type from the dropdown, this happens to be a purchase type of project. Primary financing type will be acquisition. If you are working with a 2016 award, make sure to select the applicable project type from this module. Our home buyer is in the low income category, and they are a first-time home buyer. There are no additional CDFI fund program funds being used in this project. Here in the housing program, you can enter in the name of that housing program we just created, or by clicking the magnifying glass, you can search for that program. You can see here's that housing program we just created, so I will select that. And in doing so, we are linking essentially House 1 to the housing program. These fields have slightly changed as of July 2020, So here in the sale price field, you will still enter the sale price of the home. So this home was sold for $150,000. And where previously you would enter the unadjusted median sale price value for the applicable area, you now enter the 95% median sale price limit as established by HUD and used in the home program. So it turns out for this area, the median sale price limit, the 95% median sale price limit, is $200,000. All right, we do not need to enter anything into the project date section here at the project level. For this particular project, although it is part of that housing fund to which we have committed $500,000 to, this specific project is receiving $10,000. This time, we're only committing the CMF award to this project. There's no program income that we are committing to this particular unit, so we will leave these fields blank. Next, we're moving into eligible project cost. So for 2016, 17, and 18 recipients, this is a recipient level leverage is a performance metric. The input is still required for 2019 recipients, although this is not a performance metric that you will be assessed against. So here in the recipient level leverage field, we will enter the CMF award, any program income that's being invested into this particular project, in addition to enterprise level capital from the recipient or any of that enterprise level capital that is reinvested. So for this particular project, the only source of recipient level leverage will be the CMF award, which will be $10,000. Next, we'll move into our projected eligible project costs that are projected. So of those eligible project costs, we must break those down between public and private sources. For the public and private sources, you must also distinguish between whether it's from a third-party source or if it's from a source that's related to the recipient. So in this case, we are providing $10,000 down payment assistance. The home buyer is receiving a first mortgage for their home from a local bank. So those funds will go in the third-party private. So we will say they are taking out a loan for $150,000. So the CMF funds is $10,000. Those will help with any closing costs. So we will enter those $10,000 here in the third-party public. And then there are no eligible project costs from related sources, so we will leave those blank. Next, we will go ahead and enter a project address for this particular unit. This property is at 123 Hilltop Lane in Kansas City. So these fields over here, the XY coordinate, the FIPS code, you will want to leave those blank as they will be automatically generated, typically overnight. Next, we'll hit save to save our project record. If there are any missing fields or there are any errors, you will typically receive a message up here, but you can see project has been saved. So we were able to successfully create this project. Now that we have created our home ownership project, if this is the only home we need to report on for the reporting year, we do need to create an annual report before proceeding with submitting the report to the CDFI fund. You'll notice if we try to generate the scorecard, we will receive an error message saying that the annual report, formerly called the stage report, has not been created. In doing so, we will return back to that homeownership record we just created, and then navigate to the CMF Annual Reports tab. Once again, you can hover or click on that, and then proceed to creating a new annual report. So on the project record, you entered information that is mostly static, the amount that you've committed to the project, your projected sources of leverage, where here on the annual report, this information is fluctuating. You will submit an annual report for that project every year, which will provide the current status of the project as of the fiscal year end or the end of the reporting year. So starting off, you must indicate whether the project is an investment or affordability. You will select affordability once the project has reached initial occupancy. For this project, we have only issued a commitment. We have not dispersed any funds. The home buyer has not closed or moved in, so we will leave the project status as committed. And then we will enter our commitment date. We have not dispersed any funds, so these other dates, we will leave those blank. The next section, use of CMF award. These sections have changed from previous years, where you would previously enter in the amount dispersed or earned in program income for a given reporting year. You are now reporting project totals. So if we had dispersed $100 to this project last year, and $100 this year, we would enter $200 into this field. However, this project is only committed, so we will leave the disbursement field blank. When we do disperse, it will be a grant, but once again, this project has the status of committed, not yet dispersed. The eligible activity dropdown, this relates directly back to the eligible activities and uses outlined in your assistance agreement. So make sure you check the appropriate option here from the dropdown that is approved in your agreement. For this example, our project will be affordable housing, and it is in the initial stage of investment. Because we have not dispersed any funds, we have no recipient level leverage to report, no private sources of leverage, and no public sources of leverage. Had we dispersed, once again, just like the projected inputs, we would enter the $10,000 CMF award here into the recipient level leverage field, and then the private bank loan into third-party private dollars. And then once again, the CMF award would also be entered into third-party public. Now that we have completed all of the fields for our annual report, we will hit save. Once again, we received confirmation that the save was successful. Returning to the performance report detail page, we can take a look at our project list, and we can see now that the annual report has been created for this homeownership record. There were two other previously created records, all of which have annual reports created. So we now should be able to proceed with creating the scorecard and then submitting the annual report. Once you click Generate Scorecard, sometimes the system does take just a moment to load the fields. If you receive any non-compliance explanations, you will want to fill those out before hitting Submit. and then review all the other fields. This performance report scorecard will give you a high-level feel for where you are with your compliance measures. Many of these are not measured until the end of the 5-year investment period, which is when you will see this indicator, monitoring not yet due. But others will give you a high-level feel for how you are progressing towards your performance goals. However, even more detailed information is available on the performance report detail page. For instance, with the homeownership, we can review the homeownership sale price test. Since we are doing homeownership, it is applicable, and so far we have not entered any records that have caused a failure, so yes, we are passing the sale price test. New to AMIS as of July 2020, there are some end user reports available to you directly from the project. You will find this project annual report link. If you click that, it will review or provide you an overview of the information entered on the annual report. So if we click that link, open the attachment, and here we have, in an Excel-based format, all of the information that was entered on the annual report. So we have the project name, project status, and then some of the other details, such as our commitment date that we entered in on the annual report. If we return to the performance report detail page, there is an additional homeownership report link you will find here. You will also find that on the scorecard. Whether you access that from the performance report detail page or the scorecard, it will generate the same report. So if we go ahead and click that, open the attachment, this report will list all of the homeownership projects reported under the award. So had we reported a house 2, 3, and 4, all of those would be listed here, and you would be able to review all of the project details for those records in one spot. So once again, we have the homebuyer income category listed here, the linked housing program, the sale price, whether it has passed the sale price compliance test. So should you receive a failed indicator here on the performance scorecard, such as we have here, and you need to further investigate or better understand what is causing that failure, downloading these reports will provide you an easy way to do so, rather than combing through and opening up each and every project record. If you have questions, the best way to reach out to the CDFI Fund is by submitting a service request. On your toolbar here, you will see a service request tab. If you click on that, you will see an option to create a new service request. From there, once again, the red bars indicate all required fields. For the program, select Capital Magnet Fund. Although it's not required, we do appreciate if you go ahead and link it to the applicable award. As this test account does, if you have multiple awards and you are referring to a very specific project or an instance, it will help us look at the right information if you link the applicable award to your service request. Status And origin, you can leave those as is, the default new and web. You can set the priority. We will leave this one as medium. We'll enter a subject. And then you will enter your description. So once you have completed all required fields, go ahead and hit submit, and someone at the CDFI fund will get back with you as soon as possible. Here on the service request page, you will be able to track the status. Oftentimes, staff will use the public comments feature, which you will find here. You will receive an email notification when a public comment is made, but you are also able to directly add comments here by hitting add comment. So once again, this module covered reporting on homeownership activities. If you have additional questions, there is a comprehensive compliance reporting manual available on our website, so we do encourage you to review that. Once again, submitting a service request and selecting Capital Magnet Fund is the best way to get in touch with the folks at the CDFI Fund. Additionally, you may also reach out to the CDFI Fund via telephone or email using the information listed here. With that, we thank you for taking the time to review this module, and we encourage you to visit the other modules on CMF program reporting. Thank you.